gotten away from your instincts? What do you mean by that?
I'm not going to get into that. I just think one of my greatest strengths is my instincts, honestly. I think that's just from a self-awareness standpoint, that's one of my greatest strengths. I think one of the reasons that we've been successful here is, I've always just leaned on that. And I think sometimes, you can listen to too much, listen to too many people, and you can get away from what you're truly convicted with. And I got to be better in that area.
And when you talk about like a challenging of core beliefs after 2010, do you feel like that's something that needs to happen this offseason?
No. We're in a completely different world than we were then. No, it's a lot easier to fix it now than it was then. A lot easier. So that's one positive. We're in a little different spot than we were then.
All right, welcome to Believing Clemson Football. I'm Will Vandervort. That's Alex Dodd. And that was Dabo Swinney as he was telling us how different the world is in college football now. Dabo went into that a little bit today as he was asked several questions regarding, the state of college football, his football program, reflecting on what may be to come next season. And also, Dabo in that brought up his instincts, which is, what we want to talk a little bit here in just a second with Alex is, Dabo has always leaned on those instincts. And he says this year that's not been the case. And so very interesting press conference, Alex, from Dabo Swinney today. Just your early thoughts on what was said and where the state of this football program is right now as they're sitting at 3-5 for the first time since 1998.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a spot right now where it's like, what can you say? Every Tuesday. I mean, that's really where you are. You've been there before, but previously you were saying, what do I say? Because the team was winning so much.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're saying, what do I say? Because, this team keeps finding ways to lose. I did think the instincts conversation is interesting though, because it, kind of goes to, the point of what helped Dabo get to where this program is now, or get this program to where it is now. It'll be interesting to see how those instincts come into play in December.
It's going to be very interesting when we get past the South Carolina game, and I guess they call it, what do they call it, Black Monday or whatever?
Yeah.
Black Monday at South Carolina after that South Carolina game is going to be very interesting for sure at Clemson. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to kind of go more into that here in the show today. We got a lot of things to talk about as far as things are not easy right now for the Clemson football program. That's our headline, and there's a lot for that because Clemson, as you know, for the first time since 1980, lost to the Duke Blue Devils 46-45 in Death Valley. Alex, I was 8 years old the last time that happened. You were not even a twinkle in the eye of your dad because your dad was only 10 years old when that happened. And, that's how long it's been since Clemson lost to Duke in Death Valley. But also just a lot of other things. I mean, they haven't won a game against a Power 4 opponent since last year, October 18th of 2024, when they beat Tony Elliott in Virginia. The defense just looks awful. We're going to talk about that, because I dogged the offensive line a couple weeks ago after the SMU game. And I'll tell you what, as a defensive guy, I was embarrassed watching Clemson's defense on Saturday. Me and Donnell Clark were talking in the press box at halftime, and we're just like, dude, this is awful. This is the worst thing that you can ever see. And that defense is the worst defense that I've ever seen a Clemson defense be at any point, anytime. And that's going even in the Kevin Steele giving up 70 points to West Virginia game. They just do not look good at all. At Florida State, if they play like that against Florida State's going to score 80 on them.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
That's how bad it is. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to obviously we're going to talk about Tim Bourret is coming on. I know some of you guys are going to come on. I'm looking forward to this segment. Talk Tim Bourret because he's being inducted into the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame this Friday night, and he'll be honored on Saturday at the game along with DeAndre Hopkins and several others as well. And want to talk to Tim about that honor. Alex, obviously, Tim Bourret has meant a lot to both of us, and It's
Absolutely.
just and how our careers have grown and come about, and so it's really cool to see that. We're going to talk about Clemson's struggles, as we mentioned earlier. Dabo Swinney today also went off on the officials. Do we see another fine coming for Dabo Swinney in the future? We're going to discuss that. We're going to preview the Florida State game, and then, of course, we'll give you our pick sixes, which great news. We're not going to tell you what happened, but there was great news. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Great news for both of us.
A first for this show as well, and so you'll want to stay locked in on that as we get you set for the week's coming games as well. But before we do all that, let's talk about our sponsors, Alex. And we'll start it off with the Clemson Insider for the most complete coverage of Clemson athletics and recruiting. Go on over to the ClemsonInsider.com and check things out. We got all kinds of things going on right now. A lot of information surrounding what potential changes could be coming at Clemson. I'm sure if you guys have been reading what we've been reporting out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. We started it on Sunday night, had another report yesterday. So we'll see. I've already got one question teed up about that in the box. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So go on over to the Clemson Insider and get all the information from that, as well as recruiting, who's committed, who's not. JP's got a lot of five-star recruiting information that I know is coming out either tonight or tomorrow morning. You'll want to check that out as well. We got Clemson men's and women's basketball off to a great start with both wins yesterday.
Historic wins, some might say.
Historic wins, if you will. You might want to go check those out as well as you scroll around and looking for different information. We got the message boards. Go on over to our message board, The Rock, and get in on the conversations as well. So go on over to the Clemson Insider for complete coverage of Clemson athletics and more. You can also find us at Clemson Insider on X, at the Clemson Insider Facebook page, as well as here on YouTube, where you're watching us right now doing the Believe in Clemson podcast, sponsored by presented by FanDuel, excuse me. So also, as I love how I cover up. You like Alex, how I just cover up.
Yeah, I like how you just put your whole hand over the screen. Who needs a mouse? Who needs a trackpad? Just put your whole hand.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. I'll get into that in a second, but there's a reason why. I have a touch screen, and sometimes I forget I don't need to use the touch screen when I'm doing this. I'm just used to doing it when I'm not on camera, so this is what happens. But I also want to give a shout-out to our other sponsor, the all-new Smoke on the Water, which will be located at 64 Beacon Drive on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road in Greenville, South Carolina. We got some information last week. Smoke on the Water will open at its new location after Black Friday, looking like it's going to be the first week there in December. There's some red tape.
Just in time for my birthday.
Just in time for your birthday. You can fly in, Alex, from Colorado Springs and bring the wife and just, come have dinner, then fly back to Colorado Springs. That's what you should do. I'm sure your mom would love to see you too, though. So you might want to stop by and say hey to mom.
I don't know if the company would be okay with that in the middle of the National Finals Rodeo, but we'll see what can happen.
But anyway, the all-new Smoke on the Water should be open sometime after Black Friday, 1st of December, that first week in December. So keep an eye out for that. I will let you know. Alex will let you know when we get the definite date of when they're going to have their opening. But the all-new Smoke on the Water will feature some of the same famous smoked meats it had before. You got the pulled pork, you got brisket, the beer butt chicken, prime rib. I'm just getting hungry now because I haven't eaten. I'm sure you haven't either, Alex.
Same.
But a few things on the menu a few new things will be on the menu as well. Also, its signature 5 barbecue sauces will be there to complement, not smother, any of its smoked meats. Like before, the all-new Smoke on the Water will have Greenville's best happy hour, and it will still feature live acoustic acts as well. Smoke on the Water, owned by Mike Schuler, it has been a staple in downtown Greenville for 18 years before being moved over to its new location now, after some situations with its old landlord. So right now, the all-new Smoke on the Water is available for catering and has its food truck. For more information, call 864-232-9091. That's the all-new Smoke on the Water, 64 Beacon Drive on Restaurant Row off of Pelham Road. Again, that's 864-232-9091 for more information. Appreciate you guys joining us. We've already got a couple people in throwing comments. Please throw some more at us as we go through this evening here. Like to hear your comments and questions about what's going on, what's the latest information from Dabo Swinney, what's going on with the future of Clemson football. If you've read our stories, our reports, because there are going to be some changes about here as we get through the football season.
Changes.
Yes, and Dabo was asked about that today, Alex, and we talked about the instincts, but part of that was asked about the changes. Like, do you reflect on the potential changes that are coming about? And Dabo said, no, I'm right now, my focus is on Florida State, and my focus is on, he's like, do I reflect after we lose a game on what we did wrong, what we could have done better? He's like, sure, that's natural for a coach to do that. But he says, right now, my focus is on Tuesday's practice and what we got to do to beat Florida State. I get that, but Alex, I don't believe that. I think that's just Dabo just saying what he has to say publicly. But I just know behind the scenes, he's definitely looking at this program and how he can make it better.
Yeah, I mean, he is. And when he talks about those instincts and relates it to that 2010 season, that he's thinking about it. I mean, you kind of got to read between the lines and read the tea leaves a little bit. But he made some pretty big changes that year. And when you bring that up in relation to, are you thinking about making changes? That means, you're absolutely thinking about making changes.
Yeah, it is. And, listen, and go ahead and bring in some of these questions if you want to, Alex, because I think some of the people are asking this and they want to know before we get Tim Bourret in here. Tim Bourret is going to join us at 8:30, by the way. So that's about just a little more than 15 minutes from now. Tim Bourret will be joining us. So just stay tuned for that. I think you want to stay tuned to that. Tim tells some great stories, and I'm going to ask him the story about how he found out, because that is probably the most funny thing ever, how he found out he was going to be in the Athletic Hall of Fame. Over here we got Alex. What's Alex asking us, Alex?
Alex Spurlock says, over or under on Clemson coaches getting fired at the end of the season. I'll set the bar at 5. Go.
Okay. Fire is a strong word. So let's
or not
fire.
Retained.
Yeah, coaches maybe not retained, or maybe they decide to go in a different direction. And it's a what's the word? Both parties agree to move on.
Mutual agreement.
Mutual parting of ways. Yes.
Yep.
I think that's what they said for Wes Goodwin last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Over and under set at 5. This is like the second time I've been asked this today, and I won't try to beat around the question. I'm going to say over on 5. Alex, what do you think? You think over 5?
I think over 5 as well. I mean, when you talk about sweeping changes, which has been reported by one person on here, that
one person on here saying big changes coming for the football
when
program?
Somebody says big changes are coming, that usually means more than 5. If it's less than 5, then that'd be like some changes. But I think it's going to be pretty swift, and it should be. I mean, you're like, let's call it what it is, Will. Do you think Clemson's going to make it to a bowl game?
No, I don't.
Me either. And if you don't make it to a bowl game when your program has been eligible for a bowl game since my life, then you have to make changes. Sweeping
Let's
changes.
think about that, Alex, what you just said. Clemson has been eligible for a bowl game your entire life.
Yeah.
Alex, how old are you?
I am 26 years old.
26 years old. That means Alex was born in 1999. Am I right, Alex?
I was born December 1998. So
December 1998. So
since
Alex
I was burst into the world, Clemson has qualified for a bowl game.
Yeah, so Tommy Bowden took over that same time you came into the world.
Yep.
And every year since Coach Bowden and Dabo Swinney have run the program, Clemson has been bowl eligible. Now, they didn't go to the bowl game in 2004 because of the brawl.
And because of a university decision.
And the university's decisions because of it. So, yeah, this is an historic season. When you're historically this bad, which is the worst season Clemson's had since before Alex was born, that'd be 1998. That's why they fired Tommy West and they hired Tommy Bowden to run the program. Dabo Swinney's not going to get fired, by the way. So anybody that's out there that says they want that to happen, first of all, I don't understand you, because you don't fire a guy who's won 2 national championships, has taken you to 2 other to play for, has taken you to 6 college football playoffs, and has won 9 ACC championships. You don't fire that guy. You let that guy try to fix it.
Yeah, you let that guy have his opportunity to fix it.
Yes.
And then if that doesn't work, then you maybe decide to go a different direction.
Then we talk about things at that point.
But at this juncture, you definitely don't make that decision.
Yes. And so So anyway, to go off of that though, now do we know like for a doubt how many coaches are going to know? That's going to be between Dabo, Graham Neff, and those coaches, what they're going to do going forward. So we'll find out. And I don't want to put names out there or say things because these coaches do have families. They do have children that are in school, and it's not like, it's just, you got to be sensitive to this because there are people that are going to be hurt by this. Nobody's going to win by this. It's a hard thing to do. It's going to be hard on Coach Swinney to do. And we'll see what happens going forward. Alex, give me some more questions here as we.
Yeah, we have a lot of them. Tiger Paw GT says, I wonder about the relationship between Dabo and Tom Allen. Allen got pretty honest about the safety group in his press conference that kind of undercut Dabo's comments from August.
Well, two things can be true, though. Like, they could be been practicing well in August. And first of all, I appreciate your comments, Tiger Paw JT. I know you always are asking me questions on the Clemson Insider as well, and we appreciate you as always. Both can be true here. I think, Alex. I think they did look good in the spring and in spring and fall camp, and they were kind of seeing them going in the direction they want to. And I'm gonna tell you what's going on with the safeties. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because this is football 101 on the stuff that we're seeing the other day.
Yeah, like you send a corner blitz, and that means that you have the deep zone.
It doesn't care what the quarterback's doing. I don't care if the quarterback runs a quarterback draw right up the middle. You got to take that guy running down the field.
Yeah, you keep everything in front of you when you send a corner blitz.
That's
what you do.
That's what you do. Then you're on cover 3. Guess what, Alex? On cover 3, what don't you do?
Just, stand there for one.
And you don't let somebody run right down the middle of the field past you.
Yep.
Which is what happened on that touchdown right before halftime. What are you doing there? That's why you play cover 3 to keep that from happening. And so it's just basic stuff. And I don't know who to blame on that. Is it coaching? Yeah, I guess you have to blame it on coaching. But I'm also going to blame it on the player too because this is basic stuff. This isn't complicated stuff. It's not complicated. And so it's different when there's miscommunication and you're J-Ron Curse and you don't realize, okay, we're playing zero coverage, single safety high. That's different. That's just miscommunication where J-Ron Curse didn't realize they were playing zero coverage. Okay. Right. This isn't different. This is like, okay, you're playing, Avion Terrell's going on a fire blitz. That's happening. If you're Ricardo Jones, I got to take the outside receiver.
Yep. He didn't even have like an oh crap moment. Usually if something like that happens, you're sitting there and all this stuff's happening in front of you and you see the corner blitz and you're like, oh crap. And you're catching up to the guy. It wasn't even that. He was wide open. The best receiver on the team, wide open, running down the field with nobody near him. It's just incredibly frustrating.
No, it was totally frustrating. Apologize for that. I'm going to send you something, Alex, and you're going to need to send it, okay?
All right.
You're going to need to redo what you did earlier today. I'm going to send that to you right now.
Okay. I did test that thing I sent earlier out, and it worked. We got another question for you here, Will. You can just kind of man the desk while I figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
From Lee Harden Comedy.
Okay.
What's more likely, Dabo hiring a big-name OC or a head coach that recently got fired like Hugh Freeze?
What's more likely, Dabo Swinney hiring a big-name OC or a head coach that recently got fired like Hugh Freeze? That's a great question. One and the same could be, right? I mean, it could be both. Because I think Hugh Freeze would be a big-time OC hiring. Yep. Right? I mean, wouldn't that be the same?
Yeah, I mean, you would think so. I don't know how likely I think it is that Hugh Freeze is the name that Dabo goes and gets, but
Yes, not after what we see. But as long as Hugh Freeze comes in, he doesn't have a first down coach, a second down play caller, and a third down play caller. As long as that doesn't happen, I'm fine. I would say Dabo will probably go out and try to let me go ahead and phrase this the correct way. If there is a change at OC, Alex, I would think Dabo Swinney will probably go out and get the best guy for the job. That would be whether that is a former head coach. Or whether that is maybe a guy who's got a lot of experience as a play caller too, or is a hot up and coming play caller. I think that all can be maybe there. So we'll see. I don't know which one would be more likely because they don't really need another head coach on staff. They got 2 right now, former head coaches on staff.
Right. Then you get too many cooks in the kitchen potentially.
Right. Yes, exactly. So I sent you that, Alex, if you got that, so you can take care of it. So what else we got, buddy?
Oh, we got plenty of stuff from folks in here.
Yeah, keep them coming, guys. We got another 9 minutes or so for Tim Bourret joins us. So keep them coming.
Jonathan Benton, 7787 on YouTube says, I actually think the harder thing for Dabo is going to be telling some players who aren't getting it done to hit the bricks. Mm-hmm. I've seen him do that to coaches before. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be very hard. And it's hard for Dabo to tell coaches. I'm going to tell you, you guys don't understand. When Dabo Swinney lets a coach go, it about kills him. It really does. Because Dabo, even though he always puts the football program first, and he's always says that, and I believe, that it to be the case, right? And so the players is going to be hard too. Because Dabo has always said, hey, I want you to finish your career here. It's what does he say? It's scholarship. What is it? He always says something to scholarship. What's that saying, Alex? You got to know what I'm saying.
Our next guest will know what that comment is.
What that means. Yeah. So it's like it's basically Dabo's always said, till scholarship do us part. That's it. Till scholarship do us part. So if there's some players that they may have to say, they got to move on from. I don't know. Is it going to be the players that decide they want to move on? Because I just can't see Dabo telling the players to go. That's not his thing. It's not what he does. Am I right on that? I mean, is that right thinking?
Yeah, I also don't know that this is going to be as much of a problem this year because when things like this happen and you have a season like this and changes are made, guys are going to be able to make their own decisions. So I think you're going to have enough open roster spots where that won't be an issue. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, hey, right now, guys, please keep flooding the comments. We're definitely going to come back to these comments throughout the show. But right now, I want to go ahead and before we bring them in, Alex, I'm just going to go through this list of stuff because you and me both know this guy. He'll never brag on himself. So we have to do this. And then I got some questions about this because I got to figure out who actually wrote this. But anyway, joining us now is former Clemson Sports Information Director Tim Bourret, who did this from 1978 to 2018. He was the Sports Information Director from 1989 until he finished in 2018. Tim worked in the Clemson Athletic Office for 40 years, and technically he's still working. That hasn't changed. He's the only guy I know that's retired that hasn't retired. He's inducted into the College Sports Information Directors Hall of Fame in 2017. He's the first football sports information director nationally to be inducted the same academic year his team won the national championship since 1968. He received the Bobby Richardson Award from the State of South Carolina Hall of Fame in 2018. He received the Lifetime Achievement Award in College Sports Information Directors Association in 2019. Clemson won the Super 11 Award for the Football Writers Association as one of the top 11 football SID offices in the nation 5 times under his leadership, and Clemson is one of 3 schools to be honored in 5 of the first 9 years of the award. He edited over 100 Clemson award-winning publications, including 37 that cover Clemson football, served as the ACC 50-year anniversary committee in 2002, a regional chairman of the College Football Hall of Fame voting process, served on ESPN's committee in conjunction with the 150th anniversary of college football, has broadcasted Clemson men's basketball games for the last 45 seasons, and has broadcast over 1,200 games. He's the dean of broadcasters in any sport in the ACC. Also broadcast Clemson football games for 10 years. Named honorary alumnus for Clemson University in 2007. He's the author of 4 books about Clemson football, including The Vault and the 2016 National Champions. He also played a big role in my book as he sat down with me for about 3 hours one day and told me a ton of stories. And then the chairman of Clemson's Ring of Honor Committee since 1994. With all that said, I bring in former Clemson Sports Information Director Tim Bourret. Tim, congratulations, man. Nobody deserves to have this honor more than you, my friend. And I just want to say this, okay, before we get you going. I'm in this business because of you and because of Mr. Bradley. I told you this before, I know, but I'm going to tell it publicly. I grew up, my brother worked for WFBC Radio with Jim Phillips back in the day, and he would bring me all the game notes, which would come in an envelope at that time, and he'd bring them to me. He'd give me all the media guides, and I would lock into these things. And then as he went through his career, and he was a station manager at stations across the state of South Carolina, he would always bring me, because he always had Clemson, was always he was part of the Clemson network. He'd always get Clemson at the stations he was at. And I got all these media guides from the time I was a kid. And like, I listened to Tim Bourret on the radio and football games. And without you, buddy, I am not here doing what I do. So this is an honor for me that you're getting into this exclusive club at Clemson Athletic Department in the Hall of Fame there. It makes me feel good for you, just because you've been a hero of mine since I was probably 10 years old.
Well, thank you very much. And, that's one of your story and many others of many of my former students too, is one of the reasons that I had done this for so many years. So that's great to see here. It kind of makes me wonder, Will, if, guys like you, and because I did the same thing, I got Notre Dame's football releases in 1966 when I was 10 years old, and they'd come in the mail. And I just wondered if, there's going to be kids like you and me down the road, because, a lot of the press guides are just online, and it's different than when you get the book in the mail and you've got to page through it. So I hope they do. I hope the kids are doing that. And but thank you very much for that introduction.
Well, Tim, I hope I'm not the last one either, because I was doing the same stuff. I mean, I still am, I'm always going to remember little 12-year-old Alex in the backyard seeing a missed call from the Clemson Athletic Department. And Tim Bourret told me he had a job for me when I got into school. And then Will poached me. So it's his fault that I didn't actually work for you. But you played a big role in me getting into the profession as well, Tim.
Yeah, I always remember you being around. And who's this kid but I did see a lot of you in me and you from when I was a youth, because like I just said, that's what I used to do also.
Yeah. Well, Tim, first of all, I want to ask, because you always do the press releases for this. So I talked to Bob Mahoney, and he gave me the background story. So I want you to tell the story of how you found out you were going to be in the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame, because you weren't supposed to find out the way you found out. That's what I heard.
Yeah, no, because so for years and years, I've been the guy who writes the bios on the everybody's even nominated for the Hall of Fame. And then I always put the release together. And so I was getting around we always put the release out during exam week, because that's when nothing's going on. Mm-hmm. So I called him a little bit beforehand, and I asked him, I said, so I want to put the release together. Who, who got in? And he went through the list, and that's how I found out. That's how I found out. He said he was supposed to call me, but he didn't. I guess he just sent me. I can't remember if he sent me an email. He called me right away afterwards. But yeah, that's right. He did send me an email, and my name was on it, and that's how I found out.
So, did you write your own press release of your accomplishment? I'm sure it was Jeff, but maybe you helped a little bit.
I gave him some, but yeah, I mean, it came out from Jeff, and he finalized everything. But yeah, I provided the obviously the information on the other 9 people, getting in, and I did. Well, I do the ballot for the Hall of Fame and have all the stuff on there. So when I was nominated, Johnny Jones, one of my former student grad assistants, is the one who actually sent the nomination to Bob.
So how did that feel though for you? Take us to that moment when you discover your name on there and you're like, oh wow. I mean, because you've been at Clemson, Tim, for 47 years now. I mean, unofficially, but you're like longer than anybody that's ever worked at Clemson. I think didn't you pass Herman McGee, who was the longest before that? Have you already passed Herman?
Well, it depends what you call, full. I mean, Herman McGee was obviously full time all that time.
Right.
I mean, I still do stuff. I still write all the golf releases, as you know. I still do the golf stats. I do special projects for Dabo, but I don't have an office. I don't go to an office every day. So really you could count. You could say, well, Mr. Bradley was from 55 to 2000, so that's 45 years. So yeah, I guess I passed him also. But it is a great honor. Especially what's really cool. I haven't added this up yet, but I'm going to. Is that how many of the people that are in the Hall of Fame was I the SID for their career? I think it's quite a high percentage of the people that are in the Hall of Fame. So it's kind of neat to now be in the Hall of Fame with all those people that I promoted.
I want to ask you this because everybody always asks me, like, why Clemson? Why did you plant your roots in Clemson? I get asked that a lot, and so I give them that answer, and mine's all of our answers are different. Tim, you came in 1978. You worked at Notre Dame. You grew up a huge Notre Dame fan. You went to school. You got your master's there. Why Clemson? Why did it end up being that you stayed 47 years now at Clemson?
Well, originally I came because I wanted a job, and there was no job available for me at Notre Dame, and so. But as Dabo would say, God works in mysterious ways. And so my last year at Notre Dame as a grad assistant was the first year that Notre Dame played Clemson in football, obviously in 1977. And I didn't always travel with the Notre Dame football team as a grad assistant, but the week of the Monday before the Clemson Notre Dame game in 1977, Bob Best, who was the assistant who usually traveled with Mr. Valdesari, he came in the back office to me and said, I'm way behind on getting the basketball guide done. You're going to Clemson. I said, wow, that's great. So I came with the team, and, I got a free trip to see what Clemson is like. And it was at its best fever pitch for a legendary game. And you very well know the story of that. But the thing I always remember was coming in on the bus, the Notre Dame bus. And in those days, you could really drive the bus right into the stadium next to where the visiting locker room was. And you could see through the front window of the bus. We got there about 11:15 for a 1:00 game. And the hill was packed with students already. And Roger Valdesari said to me, what are we doing here? Meaning, oh my God, we're going to get ambushed. And at the time, Notre Dame was ranked 5th in the country, and it certainly had a chance to win the national championship, which eventually they did, and needed a 21-17 win that day in Death Valley. But I got a free trip to see what Clemson was all about. And so when the job opened, I found out about it, and that Al Adams was leaving to start the Orange and White. And so I applied for it, came down, interviewed, and got the job. Now, as far as why I've been here 47 years, actually, I did a speaking engagement last week, and somebody asked me that question because I did have some opportunities to go to different places. But it was the people. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of times I just couldn't leave Mr. Bradley. And he was just such an important person in my life. He was like a second father to me. But the other people who were here at that time that I just grew to really enjoy working for and working with. And a lot of those guys I still have lunch with today. We have a group of retirees that have lunch about 3 times a week, and we still get together. And so I'm still close friends with them today. So really, if you ask me why I stayed this long, it's because of the people.
I know who those guys are, and I got a feeling the guys I have lunch with, we're probably going to replace you guys one day as that group. So, but that's an awesome story. Alex, I know you probably got a ton of questions too, but I'm going to let you jump in and get some.
Yeah, Tim, I wanted to say, first of all, that, it's a slight to you for you to say what you do now is part-time, because I don't know very many people who are part-time and do as much as you do for Clemson. But, as an SID, us as sports writers, we live by a similar code. Like, you never want to make yourself the story. Did you ever think that it was possible for you to receive an honor like this? And what does it mean to see people, saying your name and recognizing you as the story? Because you are the story this weekend, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that. And I guess it kind of hit home to me because somebody asked Coach Swinney today at the press conference about Nuke going in the Hall of Fame. And then a couple other people, I think David Hood was one, who said, well, what about Tim Bourret going in the Hall of Fame? And then Dabo went on for a few minutes about our relationship, which has been a great relationship. And so that kind of, made me think about it even more, and what a special place that Clemson is. So I really appreciate him saying those kind words, and it's been great to, be a part of the fabric of this athletic department, going back so many years.
Tim, you mentioned you're going in with Nuke in the Hall of Fame. Me and you, I was working with you at the time with Ipte Media when Nuke started at Clemson, and I remember sometimes me and you be sitting there at practice and he just makes some kind of play. We're like, oh my gosh, this guy's unbelievable. Can you talk to me about your Nuke Hopkins moments and just, watching him play, and then for you to kind of go in with the same class as Nuke Hopkins and the others that are also being honored on Saturday?
Right. Yeah. Chester McLaughlin, too, God rest his soul. But yeah, Nuke certainly was a special player. He's got the best hands, the best catch radius, whatever you want to say, the ability to catch the ball in traffic. Dabo talked today about how, if there's only two guys defending him, you got a really good chance of Nuke making the catch. I've never seen a guy who had the hands that he's seen it in. I don't know why Baltimore's not throwing the ball to him more than they are so far. He's got 10 catches for 190 yards.
Just don't do it against the Steelers. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, right. Only needs 6 catches to get 1,000 for his career. He'll be the 17th guy in NFL history to do that. In fact, he was at the first game, obviously, when he was an honorary captain, and I went up to him and hugged him, and I said, only 16 catches to get 1,000, and at the time I said, you'll be the 16th guy in NFL history to reach that moment. He had a big smile on his face and got a big kick out of it. I really do think he wants to come back and finish up and get his degree, because remember, he was only here for 5 semesters. That's so right. He still had a lot of hours to finish up, but he's been working on that. So I really expect that he will come and finish up. So, but yeah, it's a great honor to be in the same class with him and Chester and Oswald Drawdy, who is a golfer that I was been very close to the Clemson golf team. Obviously, he was a teammate of Chris Patton, and so there's many others also.
Yeah, Nuke Hopkins, you said needs 16 yards to be 16. That 16 number is pretty impressive. 16 catches. I'm sorry, 16 catches to be 16, considering he's known for the most famous play that involves the number 16, 4th and 16.
Yeah, 4th and 16. You're right. That's a good analogy with the numbers. That was a memorable a game that kind of really. I mean, there were some games in 2011 that started Clemson's upward climb, but that win over LSU certainly was a big one.
Here's what I like about Nuke, and we'll move on in a little bit. But Nuke is a guy that he loved competition, and when Sammy came in and broke his records, his sophomore. So Sammy, it had been Nuke set the records his freshman year. Sammy came in as a sophomore and broke his records, and then the next year Nuke goes on and does what he has, where he sets the record for, at that time, yards receiving and catches, but then also still holds the record for the most touchdowns of the season for a Clemson player, a wide receiver. Like, that's just who he is and how hard he works, Tim, right? I mean, he's a guy, what people don't know, Nuke's probably not as talented as Sammy Watkins was in his prime, but Nuke would outwork guys like Sammy Watkins all the time. Am I right?
Yeah, well, so they were both really hard workers. I
Mhm.
remember both of them staying after practice, catching those passes out of that gun or whatever
Judge
you want to
machine, the
what
jugs
you want to
machine. Yeah.
call it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they were both really hard workers, and both were exceptional in different areas. Like Nuke had the best hands that I can remember, but Sammy could get off the line of scrimmage like no other I can remember. I mean, you throw in just one of those simple, quick little out patterns, one of those slot passes, and it was going to guaranteed 7 yards because he was just moving forward so fast, and he was so hard to hard to stop. So I loved them both.
Tim, you've seen, obviously different administrations of the Clemson athletic department, different football coaches, different styles of football, in your career. The more Clemson changes, though, the more it seems to stay the same. What do you think it is about Clemson that, makes it, still feel the same no matter how much it changes?
Well, I go back to the people, which is the spirit of the place, the culture of the place. Whether Coach Ford was the coach or whether it was Coach Hatfield or Coach West or Coach Bowden, and then the other sports, also there's just a certain kind of spirit and camaraderie that has been consistent through the years. One of the things I finally remember about being here was just how all the other coaches in all the sports have always kind of worked in unison and helped each other. And, I think all the coaches in the Olympic sports that when they have a key recruit coming to campus, they want to make sure they meet Dabo, and Dabo's involved in recruiting. I remember when Turk Pettit came on his visit, the Clemson golfer ended up winning the national championship. He was a former quarterback in high school, in addition to being a great golfer. And they brought him out to practice one day, and went to a practice, and there's this kid actually standing on the field behind the line of scrimmage with Dabo. And I'm thinking, who is that guy? And lo and behold, it was Turk Pettit, who was on his recruiting trip, and he was out there during football practice. So, but I've seen that with other coaches in other sports. Also, Helt, the kid, our defensive end from Purdue, is from the same area as Coach Brownell, and I know Coach Brownell was involved in kind of recruiting him and telling him all about Clemson as a person who was from his same area in Indiana. So I've always seen the pride in that regards throughout the athletic department.
Other than that first moment when you came here, when you were still working with Notre Dame, was there a moment when you were like, man, this is what Clemson is? Was there a moment like that for you early in your tenure?
Just the first football season and being here for that was a great game that I was at, but I was with the visiting team. So that whole year in 1978 was a terrific year, an 11-1 season. Had some great wins at home, and had a great quarterback in Steve Fuller, and a great wide receiver in Jerry Butler, and I don't know how many guys we had, 8 or 9, who went on to start in the NFL, who played on that team. So those games were memorable. And they were especially memorable because Clemson went from 1960 to 1976 without going to a bowl game. So whenever you make such an incredible rise, it's fun to be a part of that ride up the scale. So, and that's what we saw in 77 and 78, and 78 was my first year. So we saw a lot of great home victories, and more the spirit and that would capture the whole campus.
Tim, I wanted to ask you, because you talked about some of those moments. You've got to experience 2 Elite 8 runs. You've got to experience 2 national championship runs. You got to experience a national championship in golf. What are some of your, because I don't want to ask you what your best moment is, because that's not fair. So what are some of your best moments that you've enjoyed in your time covering or working for Clemson and being the sports information guy?
Well, I will pick a best moment, and it is Hunter Renfro's catch. because you got to remember that we'd gone 35 years without winning the national championship. And so to finally do it, and in that 2016 season was so special because we won so many close games. We won. What did we win? 7 games by a touchdown or less, I believe, including, of course, that game on that last drive, and it was we knew it was going to be Deshaun's last drive, and then the catch. And so I vividly remember, going over to the where they had the area for the post game victory, and I was kind of standing below, and Dabo kind of left the center of the podium and came over to the edge of it and reached over and shook my hands because he knew I'd been here for all 35 years since we'd won the last one. So that was kind of a special moment that I'll always remember. As far as you did mention the golf national championship, that was a special time because I've been close to Coach Penley and the golf program since I got here in 1978, and he'd come so close many times, finishing in the top 4 or 5. And then to finally do it at Oklahoma State when Oklahoma State was the second best team, excuse me. And I tell people that was like Clemson winning the national championship in basketball against Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Exactly.
That was the equivalent of it. And so, because Oklahoma State still won more national championships than anybody, and they really thought having it on their home course was going to be easy. But that was certainly a very memorable moment. And then basketball wise, you're right. The 2 Elite Eights. It's funny, the first one in 1980, we didn't really appreciate it. That was Clemson's first ever NCAA tournament bid, and we went way out west, so there weren't a whole lot of fanfare because we weren't here. And then to get to the Elite Eight was pretty amazing. And then more recently, 2 years ago, that was a little bit different because you had an appreciation for it and what Coach Brownell had build it up to, and we were close to getting to the Final Four, so that was a pretty amazing accomplishment.
People always ask me what's been the most fun I've had covering Clemson. To me, it was the 2015 season because they came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting that run, and they came within minutes of winning a national championship. Going 14-0 and getting to that was a great run, even though the 16 and 18 things happened, but 15, nobody expected it. So to me, that was always my best moment covering Clemson was that 2015 team. For you, what is those, you just mentioned the great moments, but which one was the most fun of all those teams you just talked about?
No, that's a good point. The fun is when you come out of nowhere. So I guess for me, it would have to be 1981 because Clemson didn't get a single point in the preseason poll of 1981. Not that they weren't, nobody picked them in the top. In those days, it was only top 20. So there wasn't not one of the 60 voters even picked Clemson 20th in their preseason rankings. I think that's happened one time since, maybe when Auburn won the national championship a few years ago.
2010.
So that run off of a 6-5 season, and then just keep going on and on and on, and the dominoes fell, including because it was different times. If Penn State hadn't beaten Pittsburgh, I don't think we would have gone. We would not gone to the Orange Bowl because in those days the Big 8 champion went to the Orange Bowl and took one of those spots. So if Pittsburgh had been undefeated and they were ranked ahead of us, then they would have gone to the Orange Bowl, and we really wouldn't have played for the national championship. So
would it have been Georgia and Clemson in the Sugar Bowl rematch?
That could have been a rematch. Yeah, that could have happened too. So so we thank Todd Blackledge every time I see him.
Will does too. Yeah, we make sure that we always thank
for
Todd
that
Blackledge.
victory that day. And they won 48-14.
Yeah.
In that game before Thanksgiving.
And Pitt led 14-0.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. And that was Dan Marino against Todd Blackledge, and Todd did play in the pros for Kansas City, but that was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing run, magic run.
Tim, a lot of people that are watching this probably don't understand how close the relationship is between coaches and SIDs. I mean, you guys are together all the time. Could you explain a little bit about that and kind of your relationship with Dabo and how that's carried over into this stage of your career that you're in now?
Yeah, I've had a good relationship with really all the coaches I've worked with. When I came here in 1978, I was probably closest to Bill Foster, who was the basketball coach. That was my main thing. I mean, Mr. Bradley was pretty much in charge of football, and I was in charge of basketball and all the other sports. But yeah, that relationship is very important. I learned a lot before I came here from Roger Valdesari at Notre Dame, along with Mr. Bradley, was two of the great SIDs that I've ever had. And they always told me that your number one asset as an SID is your credibility, whether it be with the student athletes, with the coaches with whom you work, the media, the public, whatever. So that was always something I tried to be, honest in every aspect of what I did, and especially with the coaches, so that they would trust me with with information that I needed to know about, so that I could advise them on certain things that could come up. So I was fortunate that Dabo was here as an assistant coach before he became the head coach. So I really had a good relationship with him, because he was the recruiting director, and I had to write all the bios on the incoming recruits, and so we kind of got close to that process, because I remember when he became the interim coach, I did a little research for people who wanted to know more about him, and I told people how he had these relationships with everybody, not just his wide receivers. And actually, when Terry Don Phillips hired him, that's one of the things he noticed why he did hire him, because every time he walked by Dabo's office, there were always players around his office and not players that he coached. He signed 37 of the 85 scholarship players that were on the roster in 2008. So it was very important that day, in October 13th, 2018, that he trusted me, that I was going to help him through that day with all the different demands and media things that we did. And he did come with a good working knowledge of importance of dealing with the media, having been at Alabama. So he knew that we needed to be open with some of the things that we were doing with the media, and it was just he trusted me from then on, and we've had mutual trust ever since.
Well, Tim, before we get you out of here, because I know I don't want Kay to be mad at me for keeping you too long, because I'm going to see her on Saturday and she'll let me know. So I wanted to ask you this, like, you've been in a lot of Hall of Fames and a couple Hall of Fames already with your profession and everything. What does this one mean to you to get into the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame?
Well, it's different from the others, and it means a lot because of all the. It's a direct connection with all the other student athletes and coaches that are in the Hall of Fame now. So I kind of feel like I'm, I was not an athlete with them, but I certainly worked with them a lot as the sports information director. So I feel a little bit more, I feel a little closer to them, I guess, now that I'm a part of this fraternity. So I really appreciate that quite a bit. It's very heartwarming.
Well, Tim, thanks for coming on the show. Congratulations. Nobody's more well-deserving than you. You are Clemson Google, as Coach Swinney says, and you're the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, as far as, and Alex and many, many others like us. And so I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about everything. And I look forward to seeing you Saturday, man. It's going to be cool seeing you out there and getting that honor. And I know, like Dabo said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to see you in the Ring of Honor one day as well.
Well, I don't know about that, but we'll take them one at a time, as he would say. So I'm very appreciative of this honor. And I look forward to being with you Saturday.
All right, Tim.
You've certainly helped continue to raise that standard for Jeff and Ross. They got a lot to live up to.
Well, they're both doing a great job. So they're great.
All right, Tim. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you on Saturday, man.
All right, thanks.
All right, that was Tim Bourret, former Clemson Sports Information Director, now going to be Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame member. Alex, it just warms my heart. It really does, man. You know, I haven't had the best of days today. And I'll be honest, it's been a crazy day where just nothing has went the way it was supposed to be planned when I started this morning. So it's good to, you know, Tim.
I feel you on that, man. It's been a crazy day here too. So
yeah, so it's good to see Tim, you know, getting this honor, and it makes me feel good. And now, like, my day's a whole lot better now. Like, I've had a great day now, and that's the way I feel.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Clemson legend, and that's what the Hall of Fame, the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame, is for Clemson legends. And I'm with you, and I'm with Dabo. There's no doubt in my mind that one day that his name's going to be on that Ring of Honor as well, with as much as he's done for the Clemson Athletic Department and for the media and for the fans. I don't think the fans understand how much Tim has done for them.
Mm-hmm.
I know they understand on the radio, like they like hearing him on the radio, but I don't think they understand what he's done behind the scenes to give them an unprecedented level of access. There are a lot of places in the country where fans don't know what's going on in fall practice or in spring practice or, you know, or any of that stuff. But at Clemson, they do. And it's because of people like Tim and people like Bob Bradley that, you know, set a standard that fans need to have access to this stuff too. So I don't think fans understand that, but you should stand up and give Tim a round of applause on Saturday as well when he gets inducted because of that.
Yeah, it needs to be a standing ovation and as loud as it is when anybody else gets it. And I think it will be. Yeah. I'll be honest, because I do think the Clemson people appreciate Tim and what he brings to the table. We've seen key people already commenting through the comments, and we appreciate you guys. Tiger Paul GT, Tim B's a true Clemson legend. Rob Bellin, 1609, great interview. Thank you, Tim. I mean, a lot of people out there appreciate what Tim Bourret and, as you mentioned, Jeff and Ross Taylor as well, and Phil Sykes when he was there.
Jeff and Ross and Brian, they
Hennessy.
Find a way to get up on get in the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame now too.
Yeah, you know, Brian Hennessy better be in baseball, that's for sure.
I swear.
You know, there's nobody more deserving than Brian Hennessy and his streak. So, you know, it's great. Clemson is a different place. You know, I've been around the block. I've gotten to experience it. Alex, you've now experienced it, and you got to see how different Clemson is and how special Clemson is. It's not like this everywhere else. It's really not. And we can say that because we have been to different places.
Well, I mean, I'll tell the story because I don't mind. You know, at an athletic department that I covered at my last job, there was an SID that was said, no, you can't do this because that's not how they do it at the big programs. And I was able to tell them, actually, it is how it's done at the big programs because that's how it's done at Clemson. But a lot of that credit is due to Tim. It's due to Bob Bradley. A lot of it's due to Dabo and the other coaches at Clemson for making sure that continues and seeing the value in it.
And
too.
because of Tim Bourret, Dabo Swinney is who he is with the media because of Tim Bourret. Brad Brownell is who he is with the media because of Tim Bourret. Larry Penley was who he was with the media because of Tim Bourret. I could go on and on and on with the coaches that he's influenced. And because indirectly he also influenced Jack Leggett and guys like that because of baseball, and Bill Wilhelm because of who he worked with Brian Hennessy. You know, Brian Hennessy is a direct reflection of Tim Bourret. And so and then others before Jeff Callan when he was doing women's basketball and all that. Phil Sykes, of course, you know, all those guys that worked under Tim Bourret and also had that that influence on the people he brought up into the business and then how they interacted with the coaches and treated the coaches and players and the media as well. And so, man, I tell you, it's awesome. I can't believe I got to work for Tim Bourret because, like I said, he was my hero growing up. I listened to him on the radio. I read all his stats and his game notes. Like, I was geektified, right? and Tim was the reason why I was geektified.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I was reading Clemson game notes on ClemsonTigers.com from the time I knew how to use the internet. So,
and back when I was a kid growing up, Alex, Clemson football wasn't on the radio. I mean, it wasn't on TV that much. Right. So you only listened to Jim Phillips, and we listened to Tim Bourret. And then when Tim took the job as the main SID in 1989, he couldn't do football anymore because of his SID duties. He couldn't do the broadcast on football, and it really sucked because that's how I got a lot of my notes and stats and all that stuff that everybody always I feed people. Tim Bourret fed that to me, listening to him on the radio as well as in his game notes and all. So I really hated that when that happened. He still did basketball. He's done basketball, ever since he got here in 1978. But, the football part, I was like, when 1989 came and he took the main job when Mr. B retired, it was like, oh, man, Tim Bourret's not on football anymore. And he wasn't until he retired in 2018. He didn't do football from 1989 to 2018. And then he's been doing football ever since as he got back over to the football part, which I listened to as well as other writers that we listened to Tim Bourret as we're in the press box because he's going to give us some kind of nugget that nobody else knows about it. And everyone's like, oh, there's that nugget there. I like that. You write that stat down. So that's how those stats you see in my stories or I put on Twitter, you saying, that's where they come from. They come from Tim Bourret. That's how we get them. So anyway.
Well, Will, there's going to be a lot of excitement when Tim is inducted into the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame on Saturday during the football game. Do you think there's going to be as much excitement for Clemson people in Memorial Stadium on Saturday outside of the halftime festivities?
Well, that's good. That's good that you bring that up, Alex, because they're going to play Florida State. But real quick, before we get to that, there's also Dabo mentioned the officiating again today.
Yes. And
it was funny because Dabo said at the end of it, he's like, I'm probably going to get fined again. And he says, I'm going to send them pennies. And so
well, I know he told our good friend of the program, William Qualkenbush on the coaches show this week that he was thinking about sending the $10,000 in pennies. And Dabo said it would be 10,000 pennies, but it would actually be 1,000,000 pennies.
It'd be 1,000,000 pennies, Dabo. You're going to have to find 1,000,000.
And I imagine he's going to have to find more than 1,000,000 extra pennies to send over there.
Over there. I like it, though. I like it. Hey, Dabo, I'll help you with that because here's why.
I'll contribute at least 10 pennies.
Here's what I said, Alex, when the game was over. I walked over to Miss Kathleen before the press conference, and I said, Miss Kathleen, I gave her a hug. Talked about how, I know it's been a hard season for her, because she hurts because when her husband's losing, she's hurting.
Yeah, and her two sons are coaching as well.
And her two sons are on the staff. She's hurting a lot. She is really hard on her. And because it's hard on them. So I went over to her and said, hey, look, Lona, praying for you. We're thinking of you. I hate this is, you're having to live through this. And then with that said, I said, but with that said, I said, I hope your husband gets fined this week. She's like, what? I said, because I want him to come in here and really go off on that call. And Dabo did not disappoint.
No, he did not.
He did not.
I said the same thing that you. I'm pretty sure I texted you and said, I hope Dabo gets fined after that call as well. Because here's the thing, Will, and you can't give up 46 points, or if you didn't give up that touchdown, you can't give up 38 points and win a football game. Was it 37? It was
45-38.
Yeah, 45-38. You can't give up 38 points and win a football game most of the time. Clemson did plenty of things to lose the football game. Absolutely. But at the same time, when it's 4th and long and you throw an incomplete pass when the wide receiver tackles a corner, that's not defensive pass interference. If you want to call defensive holding because you thought he was holding him at the route break, that's fine, justified. It's not what they called. They called defensive pass interference.
Absolutely. And they messed up a lot of things on that play. Okay, so first of all, you mentioned, so they huddle. Okay, so they huddle and still get the call wrong. When they huddle, what they should have realized was, well, there was holding at the start of the route. So we drop a flag there. Then there's offensive PI at the end of the play. Yep. So we drop a flag there. There's 2 fouls on the play, offsetting penalties, replay the down. That's what should have happened, okay? But it didn't. So they called pass interference. Okay, well, where did they call pass interference at? Well, they said the foul occurred in the end zone. It didn't. It occurred outside the end zone, which means, Alex, the ball should have been placed at the 9-yard line because anything inside the 20, when it's a penalty like that, is half the distance to the goal. And so that's what happened there. So,
Rob says that flag was so late. Yes, it was.
It was 3 to 4 seconds late. You were so right, Rob. It was 3 to 4 seconds late. So the penalty should have been called, if you're going to call pass interference, it should have been called offensive pass interference. And if you're going to call holding on the guy on Avion, if you're going to penalize Avion Terrell, you call him for holding, which means the ball should have been at the 13-yard line. First down at the 13-yard line for Duke at that point. That's a whole lot different than the 3-yard line. The 9-yard line should have been where it really should have been spotted, since the foul they did call was defensive pass interference. The ball should have been spotted at the 9. Has the ACC come out with any kind of, we're sorry, we spotted the ball wrong, we got the call
and this
wrong?
Is what I got
they haven't.
into on Saturday as well on Twitter.
And by the way, hold on, Alex. By the way, I reached out to the ACC for a comment. I've gotten dilly squat, crickets. And I asked specifically, I wanted a comment from the head of officials on the play, what he saw and what he ruled. That's all I asked.
Right.
And I have gotten dilly squat from the Atlantic Coast Conference on that. I hope they're watching, and I hope maybe my phone comes up and a certain person texts me back and gives me the information I've been looking for a couple of days. Because, by the way, I know the ACC head of officials saw that play was not in the end zone, and he knows that ball should have been spotted at the 9-yard line.
Yep.
So go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, and this is the other thing I got into too is, the SEC had a situation where it came out and reprimanded an official and suspended the entire crew for the remainder of the season for blowing a call that changed the outcome
Indefinitely.
of the game. Yeah, indefinitely, which means they're probably working for Colin Anderson games next year.
Exactly. They're working for the South Atlantic League. Exactly.
Yeah. And I said, I hope that the ACC follows the SEC's example and holds these guys accountable. And they didn't. And that was Dabo's point today, is there has to be accountability. And he raised a great point. There's all these gambling investigations, and there's money in the sport, and there's money in gambling, and they're all okay with it. We're presented by FanDuel. We love sports betting. Not saying we don't. But if that's part of the game now, which it is, you got to be transparent when an official screws up a call that changes the outcome of a game.
Absolutely. And those officials get paid pretty decent too.
Yeah, they get paid really well.
When you're working for the Atlantic Coast Conference or the Big Ten or the SEC or the Big 12 as an official, you're getting paid pretty well. Yep. I mean, these guys, everybody says, well, they're part-time. You know what, Alex? They're part-time, and they make more than me and you do full-time. Okay? They do. They have other jobs, yes, and this is a side hustle for them, and they make money off of it. But, if they wanted to quit their main job and just do this, they could live off of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're making more than I'm making, more than you're making.
So, for people, when I hear people say that, I'm like, they can live off that. Now, a high school official? No. Official that's working in the South Atlantic League, South Atlantic Conference? No. Maybe a SoCon official? No. But if you're working in the Atlantic Coast Conference, if you're working in the SEC, and if you're working in the Big 10 or the Big 8, or the Big 12, or the NFL, you're making enough money where you don't have to work a full-time job if you don't want to.
Yes.
And that's why you need to be held accountable also. And I'm glad Dabo said it. I'm back there. If y'all could see me, I'm back there got my hands up clapping. I'm like, I just loved it.
Rob Ellen calls for a raise for me and you. Hey, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, hey, Believe in Clemson's presented by FanDuel. Please give us some more money. We'd be more than happy.
If you guys own a business, we will shout your business out.
Absolutely. If there's somebody out there that wants to sponsor us, come on. We got some spots. I'll be happy. You see what we do with Smoke on the Water and with the Clemson Insider. Come on. You can help. We'll definitely put you on as a sponsor and get it. So yes, but Believe can give me a raise too. Me and Alex would be happy if they do as well. So
maybe they would, but maybe we would have a little bit more viewership if things were going well for the Tigers, but they are not.
Clemson's costing us, is what you're telling me, right?
Clemson's costing us. They need to figure it out on Saturday. We actually have a good question from Rob on here as well. If, with 4 asterisks, because it is a big if Clemson wins, does Norvell get fired on Monday?
No, I don't think so.
I think they're riding it out.
I think they're going to ride it out at this point.
Knocking that buyout down a little bit.
Yep, I think you're right. So we'll see what they do. I like how he said if, and that's what we're going to talk about right now.
It is a big if.
It's a big if because Clemson is playing a Florida State team, guys, that leads the country in total offense.
Yep.
They're averaging over 40 points a game. And Clemson's defense just has given up. What did I figure out the other day, Alex? I think I had it in a story I wrote. Let me see if I can find my numbers. Yeah, here it is. So Is that right? Yeah, this is right. So in the
How
last,
can we also talk about, and we'll get to this, how in the world Florida State is leading the league in total offense and second in the league in defense or in scoring defense and first in the league in scoring offense, and they're not good? Like they're a bad
they're
football
4-4. Yeah. Well, I
number
think
one
that.
in scoring offense, number two in scoring defense.
Look at the schedule, and that will tell you a lot of it. When they played East Texas, directional school, and then they played another directional school, and that's where they racked up a lot of yards and points there. Not that they're not good, because they are. They are good. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea, but a lot of it came from those two games, I think. If you can pull up who those were. I know one was East Texas State, I believe.
Yeah, East Texas A&M, and then they played Kent State.
Yeah. And they beat, what was the scores of those two games?
77-3 against East Texas A&M in their first year as a Division I football school, and 66-10 over Kent State. Both of which also had the shield logo on Google, which I don't know how Kent State doesn't have one, but they both have the shield logo.
Right.
That's like blue or gray. So
143-13 in those two games. There's your answer.
And then 13 points against Stanford, 42 against Wake Forest, 31 against Pittsburgh, 22 against Miami, 38 against Virginia. So it's still a good offense.
Yeah,
but
it's still given
up. They have given up a hell of a lot of points in those games.
Exactly.
First two
and that's why I think Clemson can score. It's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be like, it's going to be like last week's game. It's going to be like NC State in 2012. Because Clemson, I got no faith in Clemson's defense, and here's why. The Tigers are allowing, I believe, 30, if I had it right, 35.7 points per game. I know I wrote it down somewhere.
They're allowing.
Here it is, Alex. Here it is. Here's what I got. Right now, in the last 3 home games for Clemson, they gave up 433 yards and 34 points to Syracuse, 429 yards and 35 points to SMU, and then 439 yards and 46 points to Duke. That's bad. Right now, Clemson currently ranks 8th in the ACC in total defense at 353 yards per game, 4th in rushing defense, which is pretty good at 105.6 points per game, 11th in pass defense, 244.5 yards per game, 10th in scoring defense at 24 points per game. They're not good. That's basically everything I just said means they're not good.
Yeah.
So, and we knew they weren't going to be that much better than they were a year ago, but we thought they'd be a little bit better than where they are now.
We didn't think that they would be significantly worse.
On the back end, especially.
And that was – and the word – I mean, we talked plenty about depth in the defensive backfield in the offseason on this show. But we thought that the first guys that were running out were pretty good.
Yes.
We had some confidence in the first guys that were running out. And now it's like, I mean, Jones plays well at times, but other times he forgets how to cover in zone.
What happened to Colin Griffin? He just kind of disappeared. He played.
Colin Griffin doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Khalil Barnes. I don't really have anything to say about you. I don't have anything to say about
Ricardo Jones.
Barnes.
Ricardo
Jones, at least, tackling in space is pretty good.
Yeah. Hannafin,
yeah, tackling in space is good, but you're not capable of covering.
He's not capable. He's out of position.
Yeah.
So it's just hasn't been good. And now you're going to play a Florida State team that we just talked about. By the way, played a good Wake Forest defense.
Yeah.
And racked
carved them up.
42 points on them, right?
Yep.
And made it look easy. Like it wasn't even close. So, and I know they were in Tallahassee and all that.
And Florida State has a better defense than Duke.
They have a way better defense than Duke. They have a better defense than SMU.
Yep.
They might be the best defense Clemson has played, to be honest with you, probably since
LSU.
Yep. Yeah, I believe that to be true. Georgia Tech's defense is not really that good. They just don't give up points.
Georgia Tech's defense is good in the red zone.
Yeah,
they're good in the red zone.
They're good in the red zone, but they give up a lot of yards and stuff like that. And it caught up with them last week against NC State. By the way, who called that upset? That'd be this guy right here.
Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, camera's backwards.
You got to point to me like you're over here, Alex. You're over there. I'm over there.
Guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm the guy that did that.
Well, what do you think? So in my mind, in order for Clemson to win on Saturday, Florida State has to be turning the ball over. Clemson's got to catch one of the 4 interceptions that hit them in the hands, the face, the chest, or the leg every game.
And don't let Castellano, he does it every game where he just completes the miracle play.
Yeah. I mean think about that Pitt game. He had the pass at the end of the half where he threw with his eyes closed to a guy he didn't know would be there and just threw it in the end zone. There was somebody there to catch it. I mean, this guy's got good receivers too, though.
He does. He's got very good receivers. That one kid is like number
Squirrel White is really good.
Yeah. Was it 14? Is that the number I'm thinking of, or is it 0? The one who fumbled the ball out of the end zone against Virginia.
Oh, Deuce Robinson?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. That guy is really good. And so they got some really good wide receivers. They can cause some problems. They got size at the wide receiver positions, which is going to be – here's what Clemson needs to do, Alex. Here's what they need to do. They need to run the football, keep that Florida State offense off the field like they did in a lot of the game against Duke.
Like they did in the third quarter.
They did in the third quarter. Keep them off the field. And then, of course, the kickoff return helps. I mean, don't give up any special teams kickoff returns. Just don't give them any easy scores. It's already hard enough as it is.
Yeah, Robert Gunn, you literally only have one job on the football team.
Kick the darn thing out of the end zone.
Out of the dang end zone.
Listen, don't leave it up to people that don't know how to tackle already trying to tackle. Just do that. And then, like you said, I think get a couple turnovers and capitalize on those turnovers, put pressure on Florida State. You know why Virginia beat them? Because they put pressure on Florida State's offense to have to keep making plays.
Yep.
That's when you look at the games they've lost. That's what's happened. Miami, same thing. So can Clemson win this game? I think they can. Will they? I don't think so. But I think they're going to have to outscore them. Cade Klubnik's going to have to continue to play. Now, the good news is Cade's in a rhythm.
Yeah, he looked great. I mean, he had I think me and you talked about this. If not, I talked about this with several people. Sometimes when a quarterback that has running ability can't, and it gets married to the pocket, he can really settle in and find a great rhythm in the passing game. And that's 100% what happened to Cade Klubnik on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't 100%. He was limping all over the field. He could hardly walk. I don't know how he did it. Me and you both have had foot problems, so we know. I couldn't imagine doing that. But he was able to lock in and just go through his progressions because it's what he had to do. He was in a position where he had to throw the ball, and he was able to do it. And if he stays in the path that he's in, I think he's going to give your offense a really good chance of staying in the track meet.
Yep.
But it's going to be a track meet because Clemson's defense can't stop anybody. I don't know if they might make Furman look like a good offensive team, but Furman can't move the ball. That's where this Clemson defense is at.
I don't know these last 4 games how many Clemson's going to win, but it's not going to be many.
They have to win 3 to get to a bowl.
Well, that's not happening. So if they're going to get in that situation, though, they got to win this game.
Yes.
You really
had to win the last game.
Well, no, I think you had to win one of these 2 games.
Yeah.
And so I think they
got
got
to win the last one.
They got to win this one because you can – here's what I mean by that. You can win this game and you're 4-5. Then let's just say you lose to Louisville, you're 4-6. Then you win the last 2, you're 6-6.
Yep.
So this game – but you got to win this one.
Because you're not beating Louisville.
You're not going to
South
Louisville
Carolina 2 out of 3. I just
No.
don't. It's not going to happen.
No, you're not going to end the season with a 3-game win streak. I just don't see that happening. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk a little bit more about that game later. But right now, we're going to flip on over to Pick 6. And our Pick 6, which is, by the way, presented by FanDuel, Believe in Clemson, presented by FanDuel. Our Pick 6 is also off the FanDuel sports books. Will is auditioning not to be a suicide hotline operator. Love it, Rob. Thanks, buddy. Yes, I am auditioning.
He would not be good for that job because everybody here is sad, and
Look,
Will's
I'm
making
honest,
you sadder.
This one thing you'll always say is I'm very objective, and I'm gonna tell you how I see it.
Yep.
And do I have ties to Clemson? Absolutely, but I'm also a reporter, and I got a job to do. I'm a trained journalist. I went to journalism school, and I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I'm gonna cover this program the way it needs to be covered, and whether that's good or bad. And when things are not good, I'm gonna tell it to you. Just like I am when things are good. So, I appreciate it, Rob, because you're seeing that. That means I'm doing my job well. if I'm getting that kind of comment, so I appreciate it, buddy.
No sunshine pumpers here.
No sunshine pumpers here at all. All right, Alex, we are gonna pump us up because we did something that's never happened in the history of this show. Both the host and the co-host went 6-0 in the pick six this week. Boom. And so
the wrong way. You went the wrong
hold on,
way.
here we go.
Other way.
Ready?
Other way.
No, I'm with you, dude. Just go do it. Do what you're doing. There we go.
Everybody at home knows that you were pushing the other way, but we'll let it go.
No, I wasn't. I'm watching you through the thing. I'm
Okay.
watching you on my camera. I'm not pushing the other way. Trust me.
Somebody let Will know that he just high-fived the mystery man outside, not me.
I'm just looking at what my camera's showing me.
Anyway, we did something that is historic.
We went 6-0. Clemson alumni is laughing at me. 6-0. Okay, Alex, fine.
There we go. 6-0 in the pick six this past week.
Yep.
Want to read out some thank yous here. Thank you, Texas, for taking care of Candy. Thank you, SMU, for winning straight up over the Hurricanes with W in the house. Louisville, thank you for handling business with a huge spread at Virginia Tech. Ole Miss, thank you for beating the dog out of South Carolina. Oklahoma, thank you for getting revenge on Josh Heupel for abandoning you.
Yep.
Duke, we're
not thinking Duke. We're not thinking Duke. But we're going to give a double.
Thank you, ACC referees, for making sure me and Will got our pick right on Saturday.
That's a good way to do it. By the way, double oi, as our guy, the great Myron Cope would say, for Ole Miss beating South Carolina. That's always a double oi, for that.
Tiger Paul GT does get in here. It says, Will, your camera deceived you.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Listen, okay. It is what it is. All right. So with me and Alex both going undefeated, my record improved to 39-21 on the season. I'm 11-1 in the last 2 weeks with my picks. Alex improved for the first time this year. Alex has jumped above the Mendoza line, or the 500 line, I should say, not the Mendoza line. He jumped above the 500 line. He is now 32-28 on the year. So congratulations, Alex. Welcome to our side.
It's good to be on the winning side, Will. It's good to be on the winning side.
Yes, it is. It's good to be on this side.
With that said, let's jump into our pick six that is presented by FanDuel, just like this podcast, Believe in Clemson, is presented by FanDuel. We're going to start it out in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Indiana is a 14.5-point favorite in Sad Valley against the Nittany Lions.
14.5 favorite at Penn State.
Yep. In Sad Valley.
Yep. I think it's going to get sadder. Penn State's offense is just horrible right now. Their defense is not playing well. I mean, dude, they're just now they've had injuries. They lost their starting quarterback for the year. I mean, they've had a lot of things to overcome. Their coach got fired midseason. I mean, it's like you said, it's Sad Valley. If anybody's sadder than Clemson, it's Penn State.
Yeah.
So
Clemson is, Death Valley where opponents go to live. That's where opponents go to live. That's
give me Indiana minus the 14.5.
Yeah, give me Cignetti and the boys in this one as well. Their defense is too good. Their offense is too efficient. And I mean, I just, like you said, I just don't know how Penn State, I don't even know Penn State can score 14.5 points.
Dude, they look so bad. They
Um,
really do.
that's just where they are. The next one is in the Big 12. I got complaints from Will on this podcast last week because I was doing too much SEC. And this week I'm going all across the
SEC
country.
homer.
I'm going all across the country. I'm in the Big 12 for this one. We got the Fighting Mormons of BYU at the tortilla throwing Texas Tech, or the not tortilla throwing. They're not allowed to throw them anymore.
Okay.
At Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 9.5 point favorite against the Cougs.
Is BYU still undefeated?
No.
They lost too.
Well, let me see. BYU football. I should probably know more about BYU. I believe they are still undefeated. Yep. Because they were in a wacky game 2 weeks ago against Iowa State, where Iowa State was like winning the football game, and then I think I went to like make a sandwich and I came back and BYU was up like 14 points.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, so they're still undefeated.
They're 8-0, right? Is that I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
So BYU at Texas Tech. Look, Texas Tech is the Los Angeles Dodgers of baseball.
Football.
Of football. So, hey guys, I'm on the podcast. Don't call me right now. You should know that. Just teasing. But Texas Tech is a 9.5 point favorite. And this is a high spread. So I think Texas Tech's going to win the game, but I think it'll be a little bit closer. Alex, am I wrong for thinking maybe I take BYU plus 9.5 because I think Texas Tech maybe win by 7 points instead of 9.5?
Yeah, I'm taking the Cougs in this one as well because they're going to make it ugly for Texas Tech. That's kind of what they've done for everybody this year.
Yeah.
It's like just when you think you're getting rhythm on offense, their defense makes it ugly for you. And BYU's offense scores a lot of points, but they play ugly too. I mean, their quarterback's like number 47. You can't get uglier than that. So I'm taking BYU with the points. I do think Texas Tech will also win the football game. And I'll make that Big 12 race that much more interesting if Texas Tech wins the game.
I think so too. Yep. That 9.5, though, that's a big number going against an undefeated team.
The next one is a team that just keeps nagging in the pick'em. Georgia's a 7.5 point favorite in the Battle of the Bulldogs in Starkville against Mississippi State.
Georgia minus 7.5.
Yep.
At Mississippi State. Did Mississippi State lose a heartbreaker last week?
Mississippi State loses a heartbreaker every week.
That's a good point.
Every single week. They're like the best 500 football team in the country.
Look, Georgia struggles in the first half of
Mississippi State got smacked at A&M last week.
Okay, was that A&M? Okay. Yeah. So I'm thinking of another game. However, they're at Starkville.
Sorry. No, they beat Arkansas last week. I was looking at the wrong date. They beat Arkansas last week, 38-35.
Okay. So they came back and won.
Yeah,
so
they were the Heartbreakers.
They were the Heartbreakers. They were because I knew they were losing a close game. It looked like I thought they
lost a heartbreaker to Texas. They lost a heartbreaker to Florida.
They beat Arizona
State. Heartbreaker to Tennessee.
Beat Arizona State.
Yep.
Well, I don't think they're going to beat Georgia, but that 7.5 is big because Georgia. Look, last week Georgia struggled. I know it was a rivalry game, but Georgia struggled in that game to cover.
Yep.
Right? Georgia has struggled in a lot of games this year to cover. And they've come back and won games. And Georgia's a great second-half team, which seems to be the thing Kirby Smart does best. He makes great halftime adjustments, him and his coaching staff. I think this is one of those games, Mississippi State, the Cowbells will be going. There'll be a lot of momentum early in the game. They may even get up on Georgia and lead for a little while. I think Georgia comes back in the second half, wins the game probably by like 5 or 6 points, like 30-25 or something like that. Yeah. Crazy. I just think that 7.5 on the road at Mississippi State, a Mississippi State team that plays well at home, I just think it's a little too much. I'm going to go ahead and take Mississippi State plus the 7.5.
Yeah, me too. I'm rocking with the Bulldogs from Starkville on that one. I don't think they're going to win it either. I think they're going to find a way to lose in heartbreaking fashion because that's what they do when ranked teams come to Starkville. They lose in heartbreaking fashion, but make the bettors a lot of money.
Yep.
Next game, also in the SEC, Texas A&M is a 7.5-point favorite at Missouri.
That's a high number of going on the road, but Missouri's playing their third quarterback. Their third string quarterback, I should say.
Yep.
And, I just think it's there. Look, that's a good team if they got their starting quarterback or their backup quarterback in there doing what they were doing. It's going to be hard to beat that Texas A&M team who's they're smoking everybody right now.
Yeah.
They might be the best team in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Aggies, and that's a high number, 7.5 on the road. But I'm going to go with the Aggies because I just don't trust the Missouri offense right now with their third string quarterback.
Yeah, same here. Texas A&M's too good on both sides of the ball to keep this close against the third string quarterback. So I'm going with the Aggies as well. And I will say, to fight allegations of me cheating and just piggybacking off of Will, I've gone through and written my picks already because I am the one who chooses these games, which makes it even worse that I am 32-28 when I'm the one choosing the games. But I digress.
And what's my record?
It's 21.
39-21.
21.
39-21.
21.
11-1 the last 2 weeks. I'm on a pretty good heater right now. I need to keep it going.
Yeah, the next one's in the ACC.
All right.
Wake Forest at Virginia. Virginia, a 6.5-point favorite after
high-flying ACC action.
I know. You got two of the best teams in the ACC, two teams in the ACC that are better than Clemson.
We're in Charlottesville, Virginia.
West Virginia, Wake Forest, and Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia's a 6.5-point favorite, and I'm going with Tony Elliott and the Cavs to keep it rolling in Scott Stadium. There's probably going to be a pretty good crowd there. The wine is going to be flowing at the tailgates and concession stands. And I'll go with Virginia to cover the 6.5.
Am I missing something with Wake Forest? Is somebody hurt or something? Is somebody out? That line seems a little high because
Virginia, they got exposed. But
they also beat Georgia. I mean, they beat who was it? SMU the week before, 13-12. Am I missing something? Because that seems like a high number. Because Virginia ain't beat nobody by a touchdown or more. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've barely squeaked out wins.
Yeah. Well, Robbie Ashford was not listed on the final injury report after coming into last weekend probable. So their quarterback.
So he's a little banged up, in other words, what you're saying.
Yeah.
That might be why the spread is 6.5. That number is high. But if Ashford's not playing, then I understand why it's high. And did he get banged up against Florida State? And that would explain why they struggled against Florida State a little bit more too. Haven't watched that game for obvious reasons yet. Been busy. So I haven't had a chance to see what really happened. That game. What's Virginia's win? Pull up Virginia's schedule real fast, Alex.
All right. Virginia football. Will's getting the benefit of late research.
You've already said you're taking the Wahoos, right?
Yeah, I'm taking the Wahoos.
Okay.
So Virginia, they beat the tar out of Coastal Carolina, lost to NC State when they had no business doing so.
Yep.
Beat the tar out of William & Mary, beat the tar out of Stanford, beat Florida State in overtime, beat Louisville on the road in overtime, squeaked one out against Washington State, beat UNC by 1 point, and they beat Cal in Berkeley last weekend by 10.
Okay.
So they don't really beat the tar out of anybody.
And lately they haven't. Lately they haven't. That 10-point win at Berkeley is a good win. Vegas knows something because that spread is 6.5. Vegas knows something because there's nothing that tells me those numbers you just read out that Virginia should be a 6.5-point favorite over a Wake Forest team that 2 weeks ago just knocked off SMU and should have knocked off Georgia Tech earlier in the year and was 5-2, I believe, going into last week's game against Florida State. So I'm with you. I'm going with the Wahoos with all that said because Vegas knows something, and I'm going to trust Vegas on this one. I just think they're telling us something. They know something we don't. I'm going to go with the Wahoos as well.
All right, and the final game of our pick'em. Florida State at Clemson. And for some reason, Clemson is still a favorite in every football game this year, and Clemson is a 2.5-point favorite against the Noles.
What's Clemson's record against the spread? 3-6? Is it 2-7? What is it again? I mean, I wonder what it's like against the spread. They got to have a losing record.
I mean,
Because they lost to Troy one.
The only times that Clemson has beaten the spread were at Boston College and at North Carolina.
So they're 2-7.
Yeah.
2-6. 2-6 against the spread. Yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself because they're going to be 2-7. Again, Alex, though, what do we always say about a home team favored by less than 3 points at home?
You take the home team.
You take the home team. Logic says you take the home team. Logic. But also
Logic also says
Logic also tells me that Clemson's defense gets off a nosebleed.
Yeah, it also says that when you're 134-0 when scoring 45 points that you win the football game. That's what Logic also tells you.
Yes.
Logic also tells you that when you have your best game in terms of offensive efficiency that you win the football game. Logic also tells you that when you're projected to win 2.5 more games than you have won, that you're not this bad. These are all things that Logic tells you.
Yes, and unlike the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were horrible on defense the previous 2 weeks, they can't just go get a safety out of the transfer portal and bring them in right now during the season. Like in the NFL, you can go trade for somebody, bring them in, or go pick up somebody off waivers and bring them in. You're pretty much stuck with your roster.
Help is not on the way.
The help is not on the way right now. So it's not going to be on the way until another 2 months from now. So with that said, give me the Seminoles plus the 2.5, and I'm picking them straight up.
Do you think that this game this past weekend finally broke the spirit?
Sorry, Rob.
Do you think this finally broke the spirit of the Clemson football team, and we'll see quit on Saturday? Because we haven't seen the quit yet.
No, we haven't seen the quit yet. That's what I'm interested in seeing. I want to see how this team, because I think Clemson can beat Florida State. I think the offense can move the ball on this defense and have some success. But I want to see if there's fight. I'm like you, because they lost a game they put everything into last week to win. And you could see it on the players. Dabo said that was one of the worst locker rooms he's ever been in after he's already said that a couple times this year.
Yeah.
So, how much fight do they have left in them? That's a great question, Alex. We're going to find that out early because this Florida State team's going to score early and often.
Yep.
And Clemson's going to have to keep up with them.
Yep.
The offenses, that is, to have a chance to win.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Will, I'm with you. I think Florida State wins straight up, and I think they cover the spread, and I think me and you are going 6-0 again this week, my friend.
I like it, man. I like the confidence. I hope everybody out there likes it.
They probably want us to go 5-1. I was going to guess. They probably want us to go 5-1 this week.
Yeah, maybe so. Or maybe there's people like Steelers fans out there. I was getting text messages from my Steeler fans the other day during the game. They're like, yeah, I just hope we lose so we can just fire everybody and, and rebuild and start. I'm like, what? No, I will never accept losing.
Never going to pull against my team, man.
Never going to pull against my team. I'm sorry. Never going to do it. I am not the Cleveland Browns. That is not going to happen.
Not a Jets fan like our good friend Sam Newman.
Yes.
Where he's like, thank goodness we got 2 first-round picks.
Or Shannon Somerville, who's a Jets fan too, or Pete Acabelli. They all always want their team to lose, or Travis Salchik, who's a Cleveland Browns fan, always wanting his team to lose. So it's like, we're not like those fans. We want the team to win that we pull for. And so we're picking Florida State, but we're not picking Florida State in our hearts. So I guess that's the best way to say it. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and close it out that way. For Alex Dodd, I'm Will
Vandervort. We could go another 22 minutes and make it 2 hours.
Let's don't do that. For Alex Dodd, I'm Will Vandervort. We'll talk to you next time on Believe in Clemson Football, presented by FanDuel.